Hello, my friend, and welcome to the 427th episode of the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, we have the author of Part-Time Sales Management, Rene, Zamora. We get into what does it take to be a great sales manager and how you can do it part-time, either with an outsourced individual or on your own. But it boils down to the 5 pillars that we get into. We talk about why most great prospects for sales management assistants never had a great sales manager. We talk about turnover, expectations, why salespeople, what they suffer from, just put it that way, how to treat seasoned salespeople, what fixes most issues. There's one key thing that you've probably heard of and you probably aren't doing well, but we'll get into that. And we get into why it's not about hours, it's about results. We mentioned a few books, and on thesaleswhisper.com, I've got a link for all of the books that I've mentioned on the Sales Podcast. That links over to Amazon, and those are affiliate links, so Amazon will pay me a few nickels when you buy. Doesn't cost you any extra. It's a way you can support the podcast for free. And I've got my own book, The Sales Whisperer Way. You can get that at 79stories.info, and that's how you'll get a signed copy from me with a couple of bonuses that I include. A nice little surprise, a little delight to the upside. And you don't get those bonuses or a signed copy if you order through Amazon. All right? So support me, supporting you at 79stories.info. Now let's bring on Rene. Rene Zamora, salesmanagernow.com, all the way from Auburn, California. Welcome to the Sales Podcast, man. How the heck are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good, Wes.
Man, you must be good because you persuaded me to do something I've never done. But I love doing it. And that's talk about me, all right? That's my favorite subject, man.
That's right. Well, we just met, and sales manager, I'm all about building relationships. So I said, well, wait a minute. Tell me a little bit about you. I want a connection here. So tell me. Why do you love
All right. So all my listeners, here we go again. Man, I tell everybody, I was destined for this, right? I was part of this top secret program in the Air Force, man, where they taught sales and marketing way back in 1988. It was super top secret, CIA, compartmentalized. You had to have extra clearance, but no, not really.
Okay.
I was in the Air Force, and I had a wife. We had a baby. Had another one on the way we didn't know about. But I wanted to be paid according to my production, not according to my time and grade.
All right.
And 4 years of the academy, I owed 5 years as a commissioned officer. And when those 5 years were up, really I was laying the groundwork at the 4-year point. I couldn't just jump out and just do crazy stuff. I had to have a plan, right, with a family to support.
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped right into sales. I was an instructor in the Air Force. My last assignment, I was an instructor down in Biloxi, Mississippi. I liked teaching and training. I've got a good knack for explaining things, right? Making the complex understandable. Sometimes it takes me a long time to figure it out, but I will, I'm a dog with a bone, right? I will dig in, figure out the analogy, where it fits, who it applies to, and then bring it to the masses,
Yeah.
And so after a decade in corporate America and ups and downs and blah, 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 I did my own thing. Because especially being in high tech,
Mm-hmm.
it was so uncertain in the early 2000s. And I mean, it was just so chaotic. I'm like, man, if things are this chaotic as an employee, it's like they can't be any more chaotic as a business owner.
Right.
So, there we go.
All right, man. Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for allowing me a little more connection.
Man, turn this thing around on me. It ain't about me. This is all about you, man. So sales manager now, are you a sales manager for hire? Are you cracking the whip on salespeople, or are you tweaking the minds of sales managers so they do what really matters?
Well, reality is that we're tweaking the minds of business owners. So they don't know that yet. Okay, so any business owners out there, if you're willing to have your mind and attitude and belief tweaked, then you might consider us. But if but usually people aren't looking for that. What they're looking for is more sales, more relief. Is there someone out there that can take care of this motley crew called my sales team, that can do it well? And so that's what we've been doing for small businesses, basically because small businesses don't have a big enough challenge for a professional sales manager to go work in their business. That's just the reality. I don't care. You can pay them all the money in the world, but I will not work full time at any of my clients. It is not challenging enough for me because the team is smaller. The business is smaller.
Right.
We do a bigger thing. And so we manage sales teams. I manage sales teams, small businesses, and we help them grow, and we help business owners relate a little differently to their sales team, because it's all part of the formula. We've got to be all in it together to make sales grow.
So are you leading the sales teams, or are you advising and coaching the managers and owners on how to be better sales leaders?
Yeah, really all of it there, Wes. So we come in as the sales manager. We take ownership, accountability for that sales goal. Give us the goal, put the target on our back. We'll push it down to the team, get it on them. So we lead weekly sales meetings, one-on-ones, emails, coaching throughout the week. We are just available. So we are their sales manager. And in addition, we meet with owners, just depending on each owner and each company on where they're at. Just updates could just be a business update. Sometimes we're involved in the leadership meeting with the other managers in the company. Other times it's just very light. But at the end of the day, because of who we are and our confidence and our expertise, there's an expert relationship the owners have with us that allows them to be transparent, grow, and we're not the employees, so there's a little bit more transparency that actually happens. And so the business coaching goes on as well, to the degree that an owner wants it or accepts it. And if they don't, then we're just out there managing the team.
So can somebody just hand over the reins, or do you force them to stay involved and kind of educate and improve them along with the team?
No, nothing's forced.
Okay.
So it's really all, they can hand over the reins, and that's been done, or they can be involved in every sales meeting, and that's fine too. So we are completely okay. But what they will get from us, if there's something that needs to be addressed to help sales grow, then we're going to have a meeting about that. And then they can either choose. I mean, it's our responsibility to be, to be an advisor, because we're the experts on, sales teams, because we do it a lot all day long.
Well, I'm always worried, and I've told my clients, like, hey, I'm happy to coach your team, but what happens if the team outgrows your ability to manage them? Right? Are you worried about that? Do you inform them of the risks? If they just want to hand over the reins and get out of the way, or is there even a risk?
There's not a risk, because we're just the hire. We're managing the team to where it goes. If it outgrows our influence, our ability to continue to meet the next goal, and a full-time manager is what's required, then that's what's required.
Well, not even. I don't think you're the risk. I think it's like, I don't know. You step in and you get you got a head coach of a high school football team, right? And you come in as the assistant head coach.
All right.
And you coach these kids, and all of a sudden they're like college football caliber, and they're like, man, we don't. It's like, you made this all happen, Rene. Like, we don't, like, our guy, he's hiding. He's sitting up in the press booth, sipping Coca-Colas, and they outgrow. I mean, I see it all the time where, salespeople don't quit jobs, right? They quit leaders.
Right.
And, even though you're all in, you're still technically an outsider.
Yes, I am.
Right. And so they look at the owner and they're like, man, this guy, he's not really bought in. Yeah, he brought in a great guy, but I'm going to go somewhere, that I don't know.
Well, okay, so I think I get your question now. There's no more of a risk than hiring someone full-time there. Or, the risk, if you don't hire someone to help lead the team and they're not being led, well, then the risk is they leave anyways because they want somewhere else. If you hire someone full-time that's really good, well, the intention on people should grow. And if you have enough for them in a company to stick around, great. If you don't, then they should move somewhere else. I mean, you and I have our own businesses because we moved somewhere else. There's nothing wrong with that. We did a good trade then. So is there a risk? I've never even thought of it that way.
Okay, good. Yeah, and in your training, do you put in plans for recruiting and hiring? And what's your take on how often and regularly should a good company be testing the waters and looking for new talent?
Just on the plan. If the plan is for certain revenue growth, do we have enough talent in-house to meet that revenue growth? It's really there's a more holistic strategic plan at a particular client right now. What was required more in that first year with them was really getting attitude and culture in line. We had good people, okay, but they just had been in a culture that allowed
Is that the official word?
That's the official word, blah. Okay. But again, it's just a habit. It was just allowed. You could think about like gossiping in some offices. It's just allowed. It's not like terrible. It just doesn't help, And so we were fixing that last year. This year we're fixing more of, and we also were putting in new systems as far as technology systems. And that was kind of chunky and not really clean. So we got that going now. So now that's behind us. So this year is more, I asked the owner, let's not try to take it too high. Let's build, now let's work on some tactics and some more strategy on how they're approaching things. Let's get that solidified, bring in one more player. And then the following year, let's look at that 30% shot, growth, because we have all these other things in place. At a corporate America, some are built well and some aren't. But what they do have is systems and processes and structure that you can kind of count on as far as, all right, just get another one. Pay this, leverage this marketing arm, get some more leads, boom, have it grow. In a small business, all those things aren't always in place. You can't just say go and have it keep going.
Right. So does it freak out some of your prospects? Because you're talking about like multi-year plans here, how many are thinking that long-term and are willing to invest that long-term? Because most people are looking for the easy button, right? They're looking for shortcuts, right? Fix my people, and
like, that's what's different about us. That's like, even right now, I could tell with you're seeing me as a sales management consultant. But if you were out hiring a sales manager, you're looking for someone who can manage your team for a long time. That's your hope. You're not saying, I'm going to hire a sales manager for 3 months, see what he can do, and then get rid of him. It's like, and so they're looking for a partner like us. The clients that we've had, I didn't know that was going to happen 13 years ago when this started, but our average client is over 4.5 years tenure. Yeah, some last 6 months, but some are 8 years. And so it's, if the team is growing and the business is growing, and the relationship is well, the trade and cost to delivery is pretty attractive.
And are you meeting on site? Is it all remote? Is it a hybrid?
It's a hybrid. Most of it is over Zoom, like we're doing right now. Okay. And so I have one client I've met with on site because they're local. But we have them in Canada and Minnesota and Texas and different parts of California. We visit as needed, so it's if people are growing and we don't have to be there, then they don't have to pay expenses for us to arrive. If we feel like, we need to have a couple-day meeting or a all day, just need to get a stronger connection, make a stronger influence, I think I should come out. All right, let's go. Then we're out there. So it's not about counting hours. It's about getting the result.
Yeah. And would you say, can you be as effective being remote, and are the teams remote also, or are they typically on site and you're the remote one?
I'm the remote one, or Noel's the remote one. The teams are on site. Some are inside. Most of them are outside sales or a combo of both. Account managers, hunters. Say the question again. I kind of missed some of it.
Yeah, it's, I know that for a truly small business, right? They may have all internal salespeople, and so, um, I'm just wondering those that are listening to this, they're like, well, I've got 5 people, we're all in house, everybody shows up every day, I need somebody, I need face to face, I need somebody to come in and coach my people, lead my people. That they got to be, we got this high touch, we're a team, it's a culture, and
Yeah,
I'm not sure that an outside guy, remote training is really going to work.
sure. So let me tell you that. So one of the clients, I just replaced a full-time sales manager. So I'm sure I never asked how much they were paying them, but I'm sure it was, oops, sorry about that. I'm at a client right now. We got a little conference call going on. Anyway, so, I'm sure it was, at least 150, somewhere up in that range. Okay. A year. Full-time, they're present. Okay. So they bring me in. That person was going to retire and I'm not there. And all those salespeople are inside and I'm on the Zoom and I'm doing that meeting. And I'm roughly less than half of what they were paying a full-time sales manager. Okay. And if anyone really is interested in this, I'd give you the person's name to call and she could tell you if I'm more effective or not. Right. The reason is it's because the salespeople know what to do. This was a seasoned group. They didn't need me mother henning them. They just needed me to get things out of the way. Technology wasn't working. Process was not documented. Communication with other departments was not effective. Okay. But this small business was still making money in spite of it, just like many do. Because, if there's good people, you're going to do okay. And you got a product in the market, you're going to be okay. But if you want to do more, you got to clean some of that up. And so basically I do a lot of cleaning up and getting things out of the way to let people do their job more than cracking the whip and making sure they're doing their job.
Yeah. Are you just as effective though? Because now, I'm just thinking through all the arguments, right? Salespeople for the most part, dude, just get out of my way, right? Just remove these obstacles. Let me smile and dial. Let me close deals, and what, I'm happy. Right. But then you've got HR, you've got finance, operations, production, blah blah blah. They sometimes are a little more maybe people oriented, right? They may need a little more love and affection, especially if you're going to them for changes, right? So, hey, here's the obstacle. I'm the liaison, right? I'm the ambassador for sales. And what they're telling me is the product sucks, right? To be cut to the chase, there's too many glitches, or there hasn't been an update in 6 months, or you're behind the times, or marketing is outdated, or, leads aren't coming in. So, how do you smooth that over remotely?
We get answers. So one of the things this team tells me is like, Rene, everything doesn't get done as fast as we want, but we tell you the problem. We know you're going to follow through on it, and we're going to get an answer, and we're going to get it either solved or told why it's not. There's just it's communication. You've been in business. You can't solve everything, but you got to communicate. You got to see what the status is, challenge other departments, but also treat other departments right. People ask me like, why do salespeople exaggerate, and why are they so, demonstrative and pushy? It's like,
we never exaggerate. We always say things exactly the way that they are. Who are these people, and why do they still have their heads?
So why? It's really simple. They're not being heard. Why do we yell at our kids?
Why are salespeople not heard? Huh? Do they think we're just prima donnas that are just paid to go drink whiskey and golf?
You answer that question. I can't tell you. So anyways, that's so it works. Yeah, it definitely works virtually. It's been doing that since my first client was virtual. I didn't start out by going and visit them. They were in Texas and I was in California, and that was how it all started. Actually, I was up in Washington, right. Washington State. So it just works, but it has to work with the right company. If you're an owner who prefers more control and needs to see someone every day, we're not going to work for you unless you can let go of that. And I know that. And so it's not for everybody.
And so you're talking about your book. Was it kind of a collection of notes or ideas, or maybe like a little free report that just kind of grew legs and expanded? Because you're saying like you didn't intentionally set out to write a book, right?
Well, I didn't intentionally set out to write a book for a purpose other than I just felt like I should write a book. And I had a friend, Jim Horan, who recently passed away, the author of the One-Page Business Plan. And he just had a brilliant little simple way of doing business planning. And he challenged me and said, if you have something that you can communicate that's repeatable, then go ahead and document it. And so he was kind of my inspiration to go for it. And so I just started along the journey. I knew I would do it. I knew I would finish it, but I didn't have any big marketing plan for it. Just write it. And what came out of it was I wanted to speak to small business owners for two reasons. One, if you're leading your sales team, I know your time is limited and you might not know how to do it. So part-time sales management allows you to know how we manage in this fractional world. You could do the same and manage your team in 10 to 20 hours a month. So one, you would have that roadmap if that's what you choose to do. If you want to hire someone, you would have a really clean job description and details of what someone should be doing when they're managing your team. So you have that. And the third piece is if you want to find out what we do, there you go. It's all laid out and we just do it when you hire us.
So when you talk about reducing the time for sales management, you're talking about, they have a choice, right? So you can help coach them to be more effective sales managers in less time.
Yes.
And, or they can bring you in to just take that off their plate. Cause maybe they're a developer. They're the mad scientist. They want to be in the lab inventing things and they're probably a bad sales manager.
There you go. That's exactly right. There's a client right now that her real gift to the business is developing new products, but she got sucked down into the business more. And actually, it's kind of cool. I know there's some people out there that like the EOS system, Traction by Gino Wickman.
Sure.
And so I'm actually she's doing that system. So I'm the sales leader in that EOS system. And we're pushing her out the top so she can just get out there creating products rather than managing all us people and all. And so, she's bringing in better people and I'm one of them, and make this thing grow. It needs all of us.
Right. Yeah. So how are you typically found? I mean, are you doing outreach? Are you like a product of the product doing, direct mail, cold calls, everything else just to show them that it works? Or have you like built up a foundation, a body of work? So now it's more inbound.
Well, it's always been inbound. When you're a one-person operation, you can only, and if you find out your average client's 4.5 years, you can't just go put the pedal to the metal because you'll just be telling no to everybody.
Right.
And so you only have so much time. So for 12 years, it was just me, and people would just find me on the web from my blogs, and I'm always been writing. And so I always have traffic, and people would find me. And when they're ready, what they do is pick up the phone. When it doesn't happen with like, oh, they download something and then I send them 20 things. And then one day they say, oh, no, when someone knows it, they know it. They look on the site, they pick up the phone, they call me and say like, what do you do? And that's the clients. I just know it. That's how it happens. And so if anyone's listening and you're going like, I need to check this out, those are the ones that are going to potentially hire us. So it's always been inbound, but recently last year, I decided to incorporate. I hired Noel. So I have think of us like an accounting firm, but we're sales managers. So I have my other sales manager, and he's on staff, and he's ready to take on clients. And when he fills up, I'll go hire another one. Right. And so that's what we're doing. We're going to build it just one sales management person consultant at a time, and as many clients that we can take care of.
So you kept it just as yourself for what, the first
12 years?
12 years, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. So what pushed you to take that next step in your growth?
Probably just challenge, doing more. I see the value. After the book was written, I could see that it was more than just me. I mean, when you're just you doing it, you just, like I said, it's instinctively in my career in sales and sales management and my personality, it's just who I was. And so I was able to effectively do this management from a distance. And I think a lot of it has to do with my trust in people as well. Right. And so until I wrote the book, I didn't really know, oh, okay, this is what I do. I'll give you the 5 key elements. I believe in the salespeople. I set clear expectations. We created an accountable environment. we have consistently, we have meetings weekly and monthly, and I hold engaging conversations with the salespeople in the other departments. Those 5 elements are the 5 pillars of the part-time sales man, at least for me, our part-time sales management system. And there's pieces involved in each of those areas. But once I saw that, I said, all right, I think I'd like to have other sales managers doing this the way I'm doing it, because I enjoy having a team myself, my own team. So I wanted to build my own team.
Right. So if 10 people, 10 prospects call you, how many are replacing a sales manager, either ineffective or retiring, or maybe they got promoted, to a different team? How many have like never had a sales manager and they're like, hey, I need some structure and, help me scale?
9 out of 10 do not have a sales manager, or haven't really ever been really successful at finding the right one. So probably 1 out of 10 is replacing one. Sometimes it's even a family member who's still working there, and now I'm managing them.
Right.
That happens because I'm in family businesses. That happens quite a lot. I mean, that happens.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes somebody just wants to sell.
Right.
Like, I don't want to manage.
Right.
I mean, a good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, he's a few years older, and he's always worked at big companies. He's literally worked at like Fortune 50 companies, been literally the number one guy. So, I mean, tens of millions, hundreds of millions in sales over his career. But I mean, he'll probably, I don't even know, probably sell $50 million in a year. I mean, it's just insane. And he doesn't want to lead a team.
Right.
I mean, indirectly, he is leading teams, right? Because he's coordinating the entire company sometimes to land these massive, Fortune 50 to Fortune 50 type sales. But, no direct reports. He's not, he wants to sell. So that's fine. And, smart leaders understand where they're best at. And I guess, although it kind of bit Steve Jobs in the butt the first time around, right, when he hired his replacement, but it eventually worked out.
I mean, I was asked to be a sales manager early in my career, probably when I was, 30. And so what I was attracted, because I was a good salesperson, I was attracted to the override off of managing this person, but I was not interested in the headache of managing a person, because I wasn't ready to manage a person. I was into growing and selling, man. Just let me go. And so I quit that one after a few months, but later on it becomes my career. It's just all about the right timing.
Right. Okay. So for our listeners, because repetition is the key to learning, and I'm taking notes as we go. Can you give me those 5 again? You said you believe in the salespeople.
Yep.
Right. You create clear expectations, right?
Got it.
Okay. I missed the third, because you said you hold regular meetings.
But before that, we create an accountable environment.
There you go. All right. Yeah, because I've always said, manage activity and pay on results.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes, that's fair.
Okay. And then you engage in conversations, right?
Yep. And the meetings are between accountability and conversations.
Right.
Yeah. So if I button that up as far as repetition goes, many times when sales aren't meeting a business owner's expectation consistently over years, you build up I can just call it a negative belief about salespeople or your salespeople. And you don't have that belief they can do it. When we come in, I would probably say our turnover is very low. The salespeople there in family businesses, most part, are usually good people. They just haven't had any good guidance or professional guidance in leadership to go. Right. So the belief is important. The expectations. One of the things I share in my book is that one time I took over this company back when I was working in cellular, or this area, and they weren't hitting their goals for 11 out of 12 months before I got there. It took us about 7 months to get them on goal, but after that they hit 11 out of 12. And I asked my sales manager, what's been most significant? And we did a lot of changes in services and products and everything. But he goes, well, Rene, one thing, we know what the goal is now. Yeah. Like, we know what we're supposed to do. So expectations. Accountable environment is better than holding people accountable. It's about creating an environment where people hold themselves accountable and the team accountable. Meetings and conversations just are kind of the glue. Keep all that other stuff working.
So, I've sold software for a long time. Fusionsoft, HubSpot, Entreport.
Mhm.
And when I am the software vendor consultant, right, it's I don't carry the big stick of forcing, I guess is a simple word to use, the team to use it, right? So if somebody wants it, fine, make sure it's right and help them get the most out of it. But I had a local client, and I know the guy, a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and he had a lower level position at the time. He's risen up, but years ago he recommended Infusionsoft. I came in and helped him buy it, helped him on the marketing side. But the salespeople, I mean, literally, they had big, massive Excel spreadsheets, all the data, just all these columns, and they were red, they were green, they were yellow, and they're just moving them up and down the rows. And I'm like, dude, this is horrible.
Yeah.
Sticky notes everywhere. I mean, it was horrible, but I was not brought in to be their sales manager.
Right.
And so I got to imagine, though, you step into a lot of scenarios like that. And do you just try to make the best of what you have? Or, you got this person, they've never had a sales manager. Now they're investing in you. And then you say, hey man, yeah, you need to spend like another 10 or 20 or $50,000 on software. I mean, do they lose their mind on that, or do you ease them into that?
Well, again, it's just about being the right advisor. And I can manage with those spreadsheets. I don't anymore, but I can. I've managed on manual reports when the systems weren't going to be invested in. So as long as I have a tool I can manage with, but yeah, everyone has CRMs now, and we recommend that. What's the big thing is that they get the CRM. I believe in two things. One is I need to have data to manage remotely. Okay, can't do it without it. And so otherwise, I'm just talking about what's feelings all the time. So I need that. They understand that going in. Secondly, I'm very sensitive to the salespeople. I want to make things in any CRM, and if I was working with you, I'd be saying like, okay, we need to make this so it's just part of their day. I can't be having them do extra work just so I can manage. Right. And so when I can meet that happy medium and we can get that CRM designed where it's working with their emails, it works in their normal flow, and we can get reports for them that they can teach them how to make decisions. And I get the reports I want, and the owner gets reports I want. We get involvement, and people start using it. There has to be something in it for the salespeople. Otherwise, it's just a management tool. They know that there's no fooling anyone, and it doesn't get used.
So, I mean, how often do you show up? So again, 1 out of 10. Right? If you show up 10 new clients, do they have decent systems in place, or are you having that conversation like, hey, it's time to step up your game and get with the
probably
21st century?
Over half we're stepping up the game, but more and more, as you know, it's more popular. It's more, 5-10 years ago, not a lot.
Do they have the wrong system? Are you saying, okay, this is fine, but you got to step up your game now because that one's old?
Yeah. Yes and no. I guess how I want to answer that is that as long as we're making progress, we don't need to always make an immediate change. So one of the other elements that's been really effective for me is creating progress without disruption. And so again, when you change something, it's disruption. So timing is important. If I see, I got to deal with attitudes first before I can just jump in and throw a new system. This is going to ruin attitudes. Great, I'm going to do a little bit of attitude. Then I'm going to bring in a system that's going to make the attitude even better. And then we're going to go. So a lot of it's just me assessing what the culture and what the current systems are and the people, and making this an informed expert opinion on when's the right time to bring in the best tool, because a tool doesn't always change everything. It should enhance a culture that's ready to grow.
Sure. If you're working with smaller companies, so it may be a little hard for turnover or thinning the herd. But I heard IBM, like every year, 10% of their bottom 10%, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you recommend like being that aggressive, or do you try to nurture who's there? I mean, is it better to keep them even if maybe they're underperforming and nurture them, or is it better to rip the Band-Aid off and, get rid of those you just know aren't going to cut it?
Well, once you have that culture defined, and what the players that like playing there, if someone's not fitting from a production or a culture fit standpoint, it's best to let them go, and we do that. What I will tell you is that most of the time, I'm surprised that we don't have to do that, but we're totally willing, and we do it because it has to be done. But there's no specific number. Again, we aren't IBM. So if there's 5 salespeople, you mentioned that number earlier. That's usually we're managed between 3 and 7 salespeople on a team. So there's definitely it's not like gotta get rid of one of a year. No,
right? Yeah, because they're smaller.
Yeah, they're smaller, and a family business is not a publicly traded company that has bank covenants people are watching you. It's their business. You get to run your business, Wes, like you want. I get to do mine. My clients get to run it the way they want. If they don't want to grow, but they want to grow internally and not financially, it's great. If they want to grow financially, you got to have to grow internally is also, what is the business owner's goal? And that's what I'm working toward. I'm not trying to tell them how fast they should grow. I want to know where they want to get to, and then how do I fit in to help them get there?
Mm-hmm. And is it an easy conversation, at the end of those 12 months? Like, is it just easy and obvious that they're going to renew, or you having like accountability calls? Hey man, you can fire me at any time. I want to be a welcome guest. I mean, how?
Yeah. My contracts are pretty much like, let's at least commit to 6 months when we get started, but there is no contractual commitment. It's more of a handshake commitment. Sure. Other than that, we're month to month. And so, nice. But yeah, at the end of the year, I check in with them. How do we do? Do you think we want to do this again? So right. I think we kind of think about it on a yearly basis, but at any time, if something changes with me or with them, and it's happened, it's just sure. Some things have shifted and they say, hey, I think we need to thank you for all you've done. And it's been 2 years and we're going to try something else. And it's like, all right, no worries. Hey, sure. Thanks for the time.
Yep. Cool. All right, man. Speaking of time, we're running towards the end here. Where do we send people, man? I mentioned your website in the beginning. Is that the best place?
Yeah, that's the best place, salesmanagernow.com. And if they're looking for the book, it's Part-Time Sales Management. You can pick it up on Amazon as a Kindle or a soft copy. That's the best place. And you can get some downloads if you just want some little 10-pager on 11 things you can do to grow your business. You can pick up that free download on my website, and it's on the homepage. Scroll down a little bit and you'll find. And if you're one of those folks that's just ready to say, you know what, I need to do something different, and I am willing to try someone who's not in my office, just pick up the phone and give us a call or schedule a meeting with me online, and we'll talk to you. The worst thing that's going to happen is you're going to come away from that call with some ideas, even if you don't sign up with us, and you'll just be better for the phone call.
I don't know if people should call, man. You seem like a really pushy, aggressive, like angry, like hard-nosed, hardcore closer, man. Should I even send people to you?
I'm going to counseling for that, man, but I'm overcoming it. All right.
Nice. All right. Well, I am linking to your website. I'll grab the link to your book. Man, this is awesome. Thanks for giving me some hope and faith that I'm not alone in the state of California, in the world of sales, that there is at least one other good person out there in this crazy state. Why do we live in this state, man? What are we thinking?
It's the weather. That's about it. And our good friends.
All right.
It's definitely not for the tax.
And my in-laws. Oh, well. Hey, let's end on the high note. All right, man.
Okay. All right.
All right. Rene Zamora from Auburn, California, man. Salesmanagernow.com. Thanks for coming on the show.
That's good to meet you. Good to talk to you.
The virtual handshake, got the fist bump, got the high five. Very nice, man. All right. Well, thanks for coming to the show. Have a great day.
Later.
It's not about the hours. It's about the results. That's true in sales management. It's true in everything, right? And when dealing with your prospects, knowing how to price, how to quote your services, the only way to do that effectively and make real money is to price it in terms of the value you bring your prospects. So just because you can do something quickly doesn't mean you should charge a little bit for it. Okay, a heart surgeon can very quickly, a lot quicker than me, open up somebody's chest cavity or go up through their artery in their legs and get up and put a stent in. But just because he can do it quickly, it took decades to learn how to do it quickly and not kill the patient. So you charge according to the value that you bring. You've got to understand that. So in sales and in sales management, golly, it's so important. So, I hope you got a lot out of this. But as usual, repetition is the key to learning. And to think that you're just going to take some notes, listen to this, probably while you're distracted, driving at the gym or whatever, and think it's going to sink in, it's not. Okay, come hang out at theimplementors.com, theimplementors.com. It's my free group. Come and ask some questions from these episodes. Ask me anything you're working on. I'm happy to chime in and support you in that group. I'm working on a new intensive, fast-paced training and sales growth program at the 5.us. Come check that out. See when the next one is launching. See if there's any availability. And that's going to be a small group intensive to help you move the needle fast. Not one of these long, drawn-out things. Because the reality is, you can make a decision to change with the snap of a finger. And sometimes you need some help sticking with it. Sometimes you're going to hit roadblocks that will slow you down. Maybe it'll derail you, but it could slow you down because, you've committed to the change, but sticking with it or getting the most results out of that decision, getting fast results, optimum results, sometimes it's hard. You're going to run into things you just weren't ready for. And you'll go look them up. You'll find it. You'll get it done. But why not leverage the expertise of someone's been doing this for 23 years to shorten your learning curve? So that's what the 5 is meant to do. So go check that out, the5.us. I mentioned my book, so 79stories.info. It's the number 7 and 9, 79stories.info. You get a signed copy. If you need a speaker for your event, big conference, small conference, quarterly meetings, big annual events. I've spoken from Las Vegas to Jacksonville to Slovenia. So, halfway around the world and a lot of places in between. So hit me up. HireTheBestSpeaker.com is my speaking website. Love to come out and help your team. I customize the talk. I tailor it to your people, to your audience, to whatever topic or theme you're running with that year for that meeting, and help promote it as well. Very few people do that. I show up early. I'm happy to stay late, and I'll stay sober, which not a lot of speakers do sometimes, but hey, don't want to throw anybody under the bus. So thanks for listening. Please subscribe, please share, please leave a 5-star review, and then go sell something.